Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Prepper Guy podcast. This is one for my website only. Um, Today is Friday, the 13th, and a day of discontent to be sown around the world by many religious leaders to show that we're upset about something. And so it's really an international day of temper tantrums by a religious group, whoever they are. So I wanted to talk about that because I woke up this morning thinking, isn't it odd that we may go into a third world war over religious principles? Never mind rule of law or, people being, I don't know, genocide, like so many other conflicts around the world that, could be slightly a little more justified than just, I don't like that guy because he prays to a different God than I do. So we shall see if cooler heads prevail. But Israel's all mad. Palestine's all mad. And I've chosen my side based on rule of law. And so that way I can look at it more of what I would consider in a normal fucking world a legitimate reason to get in a fight, would be the rule of law. I can't go attack my neighbor because I don't like the fact that he's listening to some kind of music that I don't like. And then I get all mad at him and shoot him. I would go to jail. And I go, yeah, but Your Honor, here's a sample of that music he was listening to. Oh, God, that's awful. And they'd go, well, but it doesn't give you the right to kill your neighbor. Well, why not? They've been doing it around the world for all kinds of stupid reasons. I think Western music's just as offensive as rock and roll, maybe. So we normally, as a civilized society, don't kill one another over what the court system would consider just fucking stupid, And in America, we have what they call nuisance laws to where, you call the police show up and they're like, hey, could you turn that down? It's over a certain decibel range. Has nothing to do with the kind of music. It's just the volume. And therefore, we can kind of not so much regulate it, but say when your rights cross his property line, you're now violating his rights. And so that's called a nuisance. Okay, cool. Can't shoot him over it, even though a lot of people would like to sometimes. So why is it that an entire region, and this has happened in many areas, not just Palestine/Israel, it's happened countless times. And it's always over religion, which I don't think is a legitimate reason to go to World War III, DEFCON 1, or whatever they call it, Red Alert. And because to me, and many of you that have listened to me for a while understand my feelings on religion. And it's important as a way of life and all that. But just because you're of one religious belief, so you pray to a God named Bob, and I'm of another religious belief that pray to a God named Tony, I'm not even going to go into the genders, okay? Let's just stick with the names. So there's Bob and Tony, Bob, Ted, Carol, and Alice. Whatever. Doesn't mean that you have a right to, fight about his name. And I think the Bible made it kind of clear when God was chit-chatting with somebody. He's like, "What's your name?" And he goes, "Why don't you just call me I am? Because I am the guy that created the world. I am the God of earth. I am the guy that gave you life. I am the one and only true God." It's like, okay, sorry I ask. And then, being typical humans, that's not good enough, so they had to go off and start, pissing and moaning about shit. So you got one group of people that are now worship one God, and God has said, "I am the only God." So if we could pick up a phone and go and call God, say, "I am? Yeah. Is this I am? Yeah, yeah. I have a question for you. My neighbor thinks your name is Bob, and I think your name is Tony. What do I do about that?" And I'm pretty sure if you were talking to I am, if he was on earth, he would slap you and say, "Stop being stupid. You're over here worried about shit that I explained a long time ago. My name is I am. You can call me I am, because to get into semantics is kind of stupid, and now you're going to get into a war about this." It's like, well, yeah, I'm kind of upset, Tony. He calls you Bob all the time. He prays to Bob. And I tried to explain to him, your name is Tony. And once again, he would materialize in your office and slap you and go, "Stop it." So we're about to go into a war over religion, when all religions believe that there is one true God. Tony! No, Bob! No, Tony! Or is it really I am? The name he gave himself because he didn't want us fighting over such stupid fucking nonsense. But apparently that didn't work in today's world. So we got, Buddhists, and, I don't know what they call God. Is it Yahweh or something? I don't. So there's, a lot of names for God. But does that really matter? The principle that I've always seen in most religions I've studied is the dude, I am, or Tony, or Bob, has always said, there's only one God. That's me. And they're like, okay. And then years later, they're like, well, hey, you, what's your name? It's like, don't worry about it. There's only one God of the universe, the whole fucking universe, or at least the universe that you understand. And that's me. Well, what if he calls you Bob? It's like, doesn't matter. It's still me. I'm called by many things. And if he wants to call me Bob and you want to call me Tony, just rest assured, your weary little mind, that when you look up into the heavens and you're praying to the God of your universe, it's me. Call me me. Fuck, I don't know. So really, this war could turn out being over, a name. Bob or Tony. And so, all things aside, whether they're called one type of religion or another, they're Hindu or Cherokee or Aztec or whatever god they pray to, it's the same dude. And just because their interpretation of the scriptures and the word of I am got a little muddled up, it's because we're human. And so You could take 100 people in a room and have them all read a scripture and then discuss on the interpretation for probably a couple years. And eventually they would go to fucking blows over this. No, what he meant was. And then there's a fight because that's the way we are. Not our fault. We were created that way. Maybe God wanted to have contention and division in all things because he wanted opposition in all things. So that way you and I could argue and not go to blows over this, or fisticuffs as they used to say in the old days. And to realize that we can disagree, but the minute we cross that line into violence, you've made a choice. You hit me first. Therefore, in God's eyes, you were the one that broke the commandments to love thy neighbor. You made a decision based on your stupid reasoning to hit me, or I hit you. Then that was my choice. See, if you steal a chicken or $1 million, as far as God sees it, you stole. Value has nothing to do with it. It's the decision you made in doing that thing that's way more important in your judgment than the dollar amount. You know, because he could sit there and go, well, that chicken was going to feed that family. Now that family will be hungry and will starve. And one of their kids might die because you did that. It was food. Or you stole $1 million and some family lost all their stuff because you did that. And one of their kids starved. See, it's all the same. So when I look at this thing that's going on over there, I don't want to offend anyone, you know, because God forbid, forbid, you know, that I might say something that offends. And then they want to come and, you know, fucking kill me. You know, it's Friday the 13th because I said something. That's probably why I won't post this until later today or, fuck, I don't know, tomorrow. So I'm taking the legal side of it because most wars and arguments and debates should be over legal things, you know, because that's interpretable, or whatever you want to say. And you can go to David, you know, was it Solomon or whoever was the wise man, and go, hey, this happened. Well, did you give it to him? No. I let him borrow it. Oh, I thought you said I could have it. It's like, no, it was borrowed. It's like, do you have any witnesses that will testify that he gave it to you? No, not really. And it's like, do you have any witnesses that you lent it to him? Well, I've lent it to other people, so there was that implied understanding that it was mine. I need it. And so when I lent it to my neighbor, he brought it back. And I said, thank you. It's not like, oh, no, I gave that to you. And so Solomon's go, okay, I see what happened here. It's just a misunderstanding. Well, according to the law, he owns that. And therefore, he lent it to you. If he had given it to you, and you were dumb enough not to get a bill of sale, then you're a fucking idiot. So legally, it still belongs to him, and you need to give it back. Now, if you're still using it, you and him can negotiate a longer term limit. Fine. Why are you bugging me? I'm drinking my coffee. Go away, you silly little children. So I take the law side, and there's a lot of international law that said one side in this conflict is wrong legally. Now let's break it down to something that's a little more sensible, because when you inject religion into a debate, then you can't determine. Yeah, it's like, well, God told my great, 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 great grandfather that this was ours. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, but, you know, when England and Spain and France came over to America and started taking land and building cities like, you know, Tucson and Phoenix and La Jolla, California and all that, that was taken from the indigenous people. Or am I supposed to say peoples? Whatever. Sounds stupid. So that was on France, Spain, and England, you know, because they were running around planting flags fucking everywhere back then. It's like, here's a flag. It's mine. They didn't even have to go to war. They'd just go somewhere where nobody was paying attention and stick a flag there like we did on Moon, and now it's ours. Why? Because we got a flag there, motherfucker. We were there first. And the American Indians look at us like, what the fuck are you talking about? We were here first. It's like, well, we don't recognize you because, see, we have a flag. So it belonged to the indigenous people, and then we came along and we bought it from the people that stole it. But so many years have gone along now that it's just like, well, you know, it's kind of late now. You know, you should have fought about it, but you didn't. You know, you let the Spaniards, you know, steal not only all your gold, but, you know, your land too. And the same with England and France. You know, Napoleon. So in a big context kind of way, these things go so far back that you don't really know and you can't really determine. But I know if I went to your brother and bought his pickup truck, because I really liked it, and to him it's just like, that's a worn out 69 piece of shit. Give me $300. And now 20, 30 years later, I've totally restored that and I'm selling it at Barrett Jackson for $1.5 million. You can't come along and go, that was my brother's. Whatever. I bought it. I didn't hear anyone in your family complaining about it when I handed your brother $500 and he paid his rent and everyone was fucking happy, including you, because he bought some beer and you guys had a barbecue. So it gets convoluted, see? And so you have to look at the treaties and the laws that were signed as back as you can find them. So when you say, well, it's in our writings, that doesn't matter because nobody agreed on it. You don't have the signature from the original owner of that land, and God gave it to you. And God got kind of screwed up, and he says he gave it to them too. Well, we'll just have to kill you and see. So religion is too abstract. You know, if you look at religion in a court of law, most judges that weren't on the take, dumb as dirt nowadays, would sit there and go, well, I can't really take that as anything other than hearsay because that's all it is. It's hearsay. You know, John begot Mary, begot Tony, begot Paul, that gave the land to Mary, who begot. It's just like, I'm sorry, it's hearsay evidence. If you don't have something in writing, I can't determine the validity of it other than he said, she said. So, sorry, case dismissed. Get out of here. There's no standing because we can't figure it out. So we have a world war about to start over hearsay and conjecture and bullshit and false witness testimonies as far as I'm concerned. Or it could be totally true. I don't know. Wasn't there? Don't remember. So when I take the legal side of it, there's all these contracts or treaties or agreements that were signed by the world court system back in the 1900s, 1917, 1940, 19 whatever. And the two parties should agree with it. And the way I look at it is one party is actually trying to agree with it, and the other party is just being a spoiled little fuck about it. But that spoiled little shit has a big mommy that will kick your ass. See, we had spoiled kid, neighbor when we were kids. And he was just a little fart. Nobody liked him. I could even tell you his name, but I'm not going to, because he'd probably be offended because he remembers he was a little fucking crybaby shit. So he lived right behind us, and there was like a little alley kind of thing, and then there he was. And so me and my friends were playing tag or hide and seek, or cowboys and Indians, and fucking cops and robbers, or whatever kids play. I want to play. And he was like 3 or 4 years younger than us. And that's a lot when you're like 7 or 6 or whatever we were. Then he was like, 4. I'm like, I want to play. And we're like, oh, God, okay, whatever. Because if we said no, then he would go crying, and his mom would come out and she'd say, you play with them. Or tell our mom, and then we'd get in trouble because, moms always have a way of saying, stop it. Play nice. Say you're sorry. And then years went by, and we just quit playing with him because he was an ass. And it's like, screw you. And if he got in our face and, he was old enough, we'd kick his ass. That's what's happening in this thing, see. The one party that's in violation of the law is crying. And governments being governments are, and America and our State Department being as fucking corrupt as it is always saying, stop it, say you're sorry, apologize to little Johnny. And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then little Johnny is like, screw you. It's like, you accept his apology, damn it. Okay. And then they go play. Well, as kids grow up, that bullshit lingers. And it's like, no, I'm not going to apologize. I'm 17 now. Well, then move out. Okay, I will. And then they do. And then eventually, brothers and sisters all have to argue it out and wrestle and duke it out and get held down and spit on, or whatever brothers do. And then they get their pecking order figured out. It's just like the animal kingdom. It's not like the king of the lions, had a vote. He kicked a bunch of other lions' asses, killing some of them. And now it's like, yeah, he's that guy there. He's the king of the jungle. Why? Says who? Well, why don't you go ask him, and he'll kill you, and then we'll all eat your carcass also. It's like, well, maybe I can do that. It's like, well, go, fucking do it. And then you either win and you become the king of the jungle, or he wins and you get eaten alive because you're stupid. We don't do that nowadays, see? So we have the court system that's supposed to keep things from going violent. I can't kill my neighbor because I hate his fucking music. And there's been times, trust me, because it's illegal. It's not right. So you have to work it out in a way that society as a whole says, we can live with that. And so we have world courts, international courts. And normally NATO and the UN, who are inept and really political hacks, paid off, would step in and go, knock it off. You're breaking the law. Don't make me arrest you. That doesn't happen on a global scale. So you and I are stuck picking up the pieces, and it's no different than if you come on my property and steal my shit, and after a while I do something and you get hurt, or I shoot you because you're stealing from me, or you threaten me, or you actually attack one of my family members, so in self-defense I shoot you. Well, that could all be parsed out pretty easily in a court of law. It's like, what happened? You got witnesses? Yeah, I got camera footage. It's like, oh yeah, this is the 4th time. Can you prove that? Yeah, I've got 15 police reports and all that. He keeps threatening me and all that. It's like, oh, okay. But if you inject religion or race or whatever else is like the moral high ground these days, the case law changes. Well, that's kind of a hate crime, Mark. It's like, no, it wasn't a hate crime. I didn't, it was night. I couldn't even see the color of his skin. He could have been brown or tanned or black or Asian. I don't know. Well, that's a hate crime, so that's a whole different thing now. Now we're going to prosecute you. And you're guilty until proven innocent. That's what happens in world courts when people go, it's a religious war. I'm this religion, and they're oppressing me. All of a sudden, common sense goes out the fucking window. Why? Because we're talking about abstract theories that don't make sense. You can argue with me all you want about relative theory, but all we can do is argue because it's a theory. Now, if it was scientific law, then you could prove that this is that, because look, every time we do it, that happens. Every fucking time. But if it's the speed of light or something like that, and you're trying to tell me that if I get in my car and go at the speed of light for a year, when I come back, I'm going to be older or younger than you. Well, we can't prove that. You know why? Because we can't fucking prove that. We can prove it mathematically maybe, but who cares? I can prove a lot of shit mathematically. Look at Common Core fucking mathematics. So what I'm saying is, I wake up this morning thinking, oh my God, we could go to war over something as fucking silly and stupid as he said, she said. And instead of letting them duke it out, which they should have done 1,000 fucking years ago, and now 100 years ago, and now right now, no, we're going to try to stomp it down. Stop it. Say you're sorry, Billy. No. Say it. All right, I'm sorry. You forgive him. No. Forgive him, damn it. Oh, all right. But it's just going to fester up the next time they're at home watching a movie and you're got a babysitter there. It's just the same thing's going to flare back up. Why? Because it never got resolved in a way to where both parties could agree. And when it did, they violated it. One side or the other violated that agreement, and now it should be relitigated. But no, because it's religious, we're all going to stand on principle. Well, I agree with them. They're our favorite fucking person. Oh, well, shit, then they must be in the right because you like them, right? Talk about good old boys club. Fuck off. Well, they've always said good morning to me, and fuck, most of the time when he stops and gets donut, he makes sure he remembers that I like the glazed donuts. So apparently he's right, because the other guy never even says hi to me. Yeah, works 10 times harder than me, but he doesn't remember glazed donuts. So he's wrong. And that's what it is. Right now, that's what we're going to enter World War III over, maybe. We can look at Russia and Ukraine, and we're not injecting religion. See, we're injecting emotions. But Ukraine violated international law, and we're killing Russian people, and Russia had every legal right to go in there and stomp them into the dirt. But they chose to be a little bit more polite about it because they like, Ukraine. And when it's over, they want Ukraine to exist. But America gets involved and keeps sending them fucking shit. And so eventually Ukraine will not exist. But it could be determined in a court of law, but we're a bunch of emotional jackals that run around. No, I'm sad. I'm hurt. I'm offended. Taiwan and China. Well, what if some news guy just started asking questions and it got legs and started running around social media? It's like, do you think America's going to attack Alaska? Like, well, no, Alaska's part of America. Well, there's a lot of people that think that that deal with Russia, so they had no right to sell it, and now Canada would like it back. Do you think America or Canada is going to invade Alaska? Fuck, I don't know. Isn't this settled law? Well, apparently not, because everything is open to litigation these days. So Taiwan understands that they're part of China. For 50 years, I've heard nothing but the China One policy, with different names and stuff. But everyone understood that Taiwan fucking belongs to China. Why? Because it's right fucking there. Just like Alaska. In fact, Taiwan is closer to China in miles than Alaska is to America. But everyone understands it's ours. Not like we own it. It's just another one of the states. And Taiwan is one. So see, these things can be logically looked at, and I kind of agree. And we can argue about the logic of it. But eventually, if it comes down to a court of law, you can't argue that if you have fair judges like King Solomon, that sits there and goes, no, 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 no. You lent it to him, and therefore he must give it back. See, that's what I said, Tony. It's mine. I thought you gave it to me. Well, can we be cool? Are we cool now? I mean, maybe I didn't clarify it because we've known each other for so long that I didn't have to sit there and go, I'm lending this to you, fucker, and I want it back next week because, we're friends. You would have went, I know. And we'd all been, sideways with each other. This is how things have to work out. And unfortunately, because America and the world have become such numbskulls that just run around like dipshits going, my feelings are hurt. I feel that. I think I'm blah, blah, blah. But there's laws written down and agreed on and signed that were understood. This is mine. And if I lend it to you, you know that. I don't have to have a rental agreement. This is mine. So, here we are, just in the middle of a shitstorm. See, Russia and Ukraine, we could talk about nuclear weapons and all that. We might go to World War III. Putin said, no, Putin didn't say that. If you want to be a crybaby, fine, be a crybaby. But Putin didn't say, I'm going to nuke you. He said, if you, see, there's the if. If this, then that. If that, then this. If. Russia threatened America with nuclear weapons. No, Russia didn't threaten us with shit. They're just answering the question, what are you going to do if they drop a bomb on Moscow? Well, we'll drop a bomb on D.C. Duh. So it can be resolved through international courts and common sense and all that. And if a party's in the right, then okay, it can be debated whether they should have acted themselves or got, like NATO's blessing, like the Godfather or something. But the reality is Russia had tried for, many years. The war didn't start 2 years ago. It started in 2014 and even before. So that's that. And then you got Taiwan and China. Well, right now nothing's happening. So it's just a lot of talk. What if your wife cheated on you? It's like, well, she won't. But what if she did? I'd be upset. Yeah. So would you leave her? And then eventually you're discussing the breakup over something that never fucking happened. And then, tempers can get all flared up and then, curiosity and jealousy and all that. It's like, honey, are you cheating on me? She's like, she's like cooking and picking up broken glass. It's like, what? It's like, aha, you are cheating on me. That's why you didn't answer the question. Like you didn't jump up immediately and go, oh my God, no. So maybe my friend's right. Maybe she is cheating on me. And, 5, 10 years down the road, you're divorced because she cheated on you, even though she never fucking did. This is what humans do. This is the way we're wired. We are fucking wired pretty loosely. So there's a lot of shorts and sparks going on up there in your head. And we need to control it. And that's why I'm anti-rule of law a lot of times when it's used to control people, like it's being done in America. Like, were the J6 people really terrorists? No. We'll never know. Why? Because it's never going to really be articulated. It's just going to be assumed. And so I like law. I like the laws like the founding fathers created, that if it does, if it doesn't break my bones or kill me, I really don't care. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never kill me. That's the fucking law. So they were very common sense. If you stepped over that line and that line happened to be my property line, I could react. I couldn't kill you, so it had to be proportionate. But there was the law that would protect me. I could call the sheriff and say, trespass him off my property. And he'd go, yeah, what the fuck you doing here, dude? Now it's all bought and paid for. And if the guy is another skin color than you, it's like, why why won't you let him on your property? It's like, that's not a question. I'm not even going to justify it with an answer. He's on my property. Ask him to leave. Yeah, Mark, but that looks bad. It's like, I don't care what it looks like. Tell him to leave. See, so then we start short-circuiting again and fucking things up. So in the case of the potential World War III or nuclear holocaust number 3 now, we had Russia, Ukraine, and we had, Taiwan, and now we got the Middle East and all this stuff. Cooler heads need to prevail. And the people that are guilty and breaking the law should be held accountable for breaking the law. The people that overreacted, like if somebody steps over my property line and breaks the law, I can't just run out there and fucking shoot them. So it has to be proportional. So a lot of things have happened that weren't proportional. And those can be discussed in The Hague or whatever. But the reality is, the people that started it aren't always the people that ended it. And when we get involved, then things become more unproportional. Clearer heads need and must prevail. Now, you can factor in the religious thing. Go, oh my God, this is starting to look an awful lot like Book of Revelations. And yeah, it kind of is, But then I've been listening to Jim Rickards for over a year now, and I get his strategic, intelligence reports and all that on finances and stuff like that. And, every time I, go to YouTube and hit refresh or whatever it is that gets me all to know the new shit, it's like, I warned you. You have 30 days to prepare, and there's all of the economic, naysayers and the puppets and all that. It's like, you got 10 days to get your money out of the bank. Well, that's funny because I just saw that the other day, but I also saw that I only had 10 days to get my money out of the bank a year ago. So it could look like economic Armageddon. There's a line with Morgan Freeman's the president in the Deep Impact. Yeah, not the stupid one, with Bruce Willis. I mean, it was funny and all that, but Deep Impact, where Morgan Freeman's talking to the reporter, T. Leone, I think it is, and he goes, it may look that you have me over a barrel, but it only looks that way. Meaning, you're really playing a loose hand and you're bluffing here. So back the fuck off. Take your one question at the press conference and leave it at that. So this is how things are in the world. And it may look like Armageddon, but it's probably not. This thing will come to an end when God says it's going to come to an end. And we don't know. And he's made it abundantly clear. I mean, if you're a Bible-bashing thumper, crazy fucking Armageddonist revolution, revelations and all that, and you really believe in all that, and trust me, I believe in a lot of it too. I'm not mocking it. Then if you believe the Bible, fucking believe the Bible. He said, no man, meaning us, all of us, and meaning women also, will know the time and the date or the place when I return again. So fucking give up. You can speculate until hell freezes over. Doesn't fucking matter. And your opinion might get you a lot of views, but the reality is it only appears to be the book of Revelation, but it's not. And these people with their fucking wars and shit about it, it's like your book and my book and everyone else's book all said that there's only one God. And so if you believe it, then shut the fuck up. You know, well, yeah, but I believe it's Tony. Well, I believe it's Bob. Well, fucking kill each other. And you know what? Actually, go ahead. Fucking kill each other. Just leave me the fuck out of it. Don't come in my yard and start fucking shit up because you're mad at him because he's praying to a guy named Bob and everyone knows it's Tony. Well, what if I think it's Jerry? Now, can I kill both of you because you're on my fucking property? Probably. So we got to get past this shit before it goes to, you know, to fisticuffs, but with nuclear fists and cuffs. So I don't think it will, but you know, you start fucking with Syria because, well, you know, they supplant them and they sent them a fucking Christmas card the other day. So fuck it. Well, they don't believe in Christmas as we do, but you know what I mean? You know, it's like, well, you know, those people are on those people's birthday list. So why don't I get a birthday card? That's how fucking stupid it is. So stop fucking spreading this war across the Middle East. Deal with it yourself. You know, if you're such grown-ups and you're such smart nuclear powers and you're such smart fucking State Departments and all that, if you're so fucking smart, figure it out. But don't drag me into it that lives way the fuck over here or somebody else into it that lives way the fuck over there unless somebody in the actual shitstorm says, no, we did it because he paid me to. Look, here's the receipt. Oh, now I can be mad at you. See, he paid you to steal my fucking lawnmower. Oh, okay. Now that's a conspiracy. Now we can go to court. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm at Jack in the Box. I don't know if you can see that in the background. And I'm gonna get my 2 breakfast croissants because they're only $6. And if you get the Supreme, then it's got bacon, egg, and cheese. And then you take the croissant and throw it out because I don't eat that shit. But sometimes I do. I mean, they're pretty good croissants, but I mean, not if you really analyze them under a microscope. They're probably horrible for you, but they taste good. So I'm gonna get me breakfast, go open up the store, and get to work. And I'm editing a video right now on a DIY thing of doing a ceramic tile repair, and then I'll get this uploaded and all that. And I don't think I got to edit much because I don't think I started coughing or gotten a wreck or got a ticket. So I think I can just put it in there and put my ending on it and be done with it. So I'll try to get this out before World War III and Armageddon and Revelations and the 4 horsemen show up, so we can look at it and go, maybe Mark's right. We should share this video to some people that can maybe stop the escalation and chill it the fuck down a little bit. You know, so share the video to people that are smarter than maybe me. You know, maybe they can get something out of it that makes sense. And then click like on all my videos. Just if you liked it, click like. It's not going to hurt anyone to say, "Oh, I like that." You know, unfortunately, on Prepper Guy, you know, website, you really can't click like, even though it's hosted on YouTube, or sometimes it's hosted on BunnyNet also. So you can't really click like, but you can leave a comment, you know, or you can send me an email, mark@prepperguy.com. But a lot of them you can find on YouTube. I tried not to use names here, so it probably shouldn't get banned as hate speech or whatever. So I think it'll be on YouTube also, and you can click like. I would really appreciate it. Subscribe, and Most importantly, just let me know what you think. So you guys all have a great day. It's Friday, the 13th. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Love you. Oh, yeah, love you guys. Bye-bye.
We made too many compromises already. Too many retreats. They invade our space, and we fall back.
I'm your huckleberry.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
That's just my game.